Hey, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. How's everyone doing this fine afternoon?
Top of the
Hi.
world, as
Top of the
usual.
world. Yes.
COVID is over. Thank
COVID's
God.
over. We're back to normal.
We did it.
The urgency worked. Mission accomplished. How are you, Pat? What's going on? How's your weekend?
My weekend. So I was this close to joining I've been paying for my gym for a year now, but I was this close to getting back in there. And then the gym literally sent me an email. No more masks, bro. You can come on in.
Just another excuse for me not to work out.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
It was okay. It wasn't great because I didn't sleep. And then last night, magically, I slept, but I must have done something funky with my shoulder because I can't move. I'm in so much pain. So if I yelp or moan or gasp, I am like in so much pain right now. You know, I had a lot of things when I was younger that I thought, oh, when I get older, like my eyesight's always been horrible. I've had a bad back. So I thought, there's going to be some like leveling out when I get to be middle-aged. And I had a glimpse of it when other people kind of caught up with me and started needing glasses and having back issues. And I thought, yeah, okay, now we're all on the same plane. And here I've like sprung forward. I'm making up for it. And now I am sprinting into old age.
Yeah, I don't know. That stuff does sneak up on you, I guess. I've been really lucky with that. I've always had back problems, so I can't really blame old age on any, once in a while thing. But I can confirm for anyone watching, Lila is a trooper for just being here because she was in pain. This smiley face you see, like I cannot fake a face like that, and Lila can do it. She's in a lot of pain.
Thank you. I am. I didn't know that my mic was unmuted before. Pat heard me just like groaning by sitting down. It was pretty bad. But thankfully we're all here together. I will be doing many shots happily. And do you think, hello everybody. Hello. Do you think that hello Tech, how are you? Cheers to Saul. Oops, we just crossed each other. And now, do you think that Democrats are ending COVID-19 mandates now so that Republicans can't use it in attack ads? I do, and we're going to talk about what's going on right now. I think that's part of it, but I think it's just an absolute travesty what's happening right now.
I mean, they definitely won't. It's that. The premise is they need to do a lot of this stuff so that Republicans, to appease the half the country that doesn't believe all these COVID mandates and stuff. Right. But ultimately, it's not even about that. Ultimately, it's just that Capitol wants people to work and all these protections cause the government to have to spend a little bit more money on programs. And we'll never do that. But yeah.
Ow.
Hey, Jill.
Jill, but we're going to get into it. We have a lot on our
we have a whole bunch of COVID stuff.
Yeah, we just get going so I can start drinking. Do we have some shots on that wheel? I just want to make sure
we do have some shots
taken care of because ow.
Ow. And as always, I pregame.
God.
I accidentally bought a triple IPA this week. So I pregamed with a highly concentrated alcohol. So this should be a fun one today.
Yeah.
Let's go to that beautiful wheel footage.
Let's go.
I do like that part with the it's kind of
Jill says feeling. She's doing it's got a good vibe. You picked out some good music. A dark and stormy, a Moscow Mule, but with dark rum instead of vodka. That's good. That does
sound good because I do love a Moscow Mule.
I feel like we need to do one show. Me too. And I love rum and I love vodka. We need to do a show where people just like write in with drink suggestions, and we should just do that. We should just like have them all lined up.
Just
That'd
make
be
cocktails.
fun. I would love it.
I would not say no to that.
So I agree. That's exactly what it is. And we are having the way the administration is dealing with COVID is a really good glimpse into how they will be dealing with climate disasters. It's how, as you said, they dealt with the financial, the housing bubble crisis. They just keep transferring that money up to the top 1% and let the rest of us just, flail in the wind. Yeah, it's pretty horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, and this is why the conspiracy people behind like COVID isn't real or COVID is exaggerated or whatever, they have some basis for that in history that this is what happens. But you can also look at it in the real world, like practical analysis without going too conspiracy on it, is that capitalism will always exploit anything they can.
Right.
And so there's nothing more exploitable than this situation we're in now, just like with the housing crisis.
What was the Rahm Emanuel? Never let a good crisis go
uncapitalized. I don't know.
Yeah, something.
He said so many horrible things.
I mean, honestly, sorry, Japan. He's your problem now. Yeah, I mean, it's the disaster capitalism and all that stuff. They won a war in Ukraine. Yep.
Yeah, yes. we definitely are going to be covering the Ukraine war here.
Yeah, let's look what we got on our wheel today.
Did we play our beautiful wheel music yet?
Yeah, we did. I remember through the cause of pain.
Jesus Christ. Sorry, religious folks. Let's go.
Okay, we'll just figure it out when we get to each one. We don't need to read it out loud.
Do you want to start it with a shot or something? Is that what you're saying? Okay,
I mean, if we wanted to read what's on the wheel, really? Okay, twist my arm.
Sorry, I bought a new bourbon, and I just wanted to see what I was getting into. So,
how is it? What do you think?
Really good.
Yeah, you're gonna be able to do it.
Single tree bourbon. Very buttery. I was surprised. That was good. Okay. Sorry, I know no one's watching for my bourbon recommendations.
That's part of it.
You think? All right.
I think
Let's do it.
Yeah, baby.
Right. Normally I dance along to this. I can't today. COVID schmovid.
Get right into it.
Is over, babies. It is over. They are pushing this so hard. We talked about it last week, how they said, well, now that there's a lull, mask off. They're now, they just keep lying about what the public wants and just saying, well, it's clear we have to react to the public doesn't have a stomach for it anymore. People want to go back to normal, in spite of every poll that we see that says, actually most people are in favor of protections. Mask mandates, nearly 7 in 10 support mask mandates overall. And I can't even read that. 4 out of 5 support mask mandates in at least some settings, which is 8 out of 10.
Right. But they're on the pundits are on TV, including doctors we've previously respected on this issue. Yeah. Dr. Wen. And they're trying to convince the public that Democrats have to go through with these measures because it's going to lose them votes and the country is just fed up, period. But the country is not fed up with mandates. It's still a small percentage of the country is not in support, especially kids in school. This whole argument that parents want their kids to be unmasked in school.
57% of parents want masks for their children. They want mask mandates. So this whole, and I was listening to Andy Slavitt today, or I don't know if it was from today or Monday, I guess. And he was interviewing a Danish-born epidemiologist who is he lives in the US now, but was talking about, I guess in Denmark now, they're just doing away with all COVID restrictions or protections. Now, and he started it off by saying, of course, it is a different situation. They are much more vaccinated there. And they also have universal health care, to which Andy Slavitt should be just like hanging his head in shame with his tail between his legs. And then, of course, CVS is a sponsor of his podcast, but he's against universal health care. But that's a big difference. But now their numbers are just off the charts, even in a place where they do have good health care and high vaccination rates. But then the other thing that they kept talking about was our society. People in the US, they just are not willing to do things for each other. And, I thought, God, it's amazing that you're lobbying this against individuals, talking about how everybody in this country is just, rugged individualism, and ignoring the fact that for 40 years of neoliberal policies and stripping every social welfare program of any financing, refusing to give people health care, refusing to pay people a living wage, protect people in any way where they feel they're part of the society, our infrastructure is crumbling, and we're told just pull yourself up by your bootstraps, and they point to, model minorities, or they have all this sort of like Good Samaritan porn, that you see like some kid doing a lemonade stand to pay for his dad's cancer treatment, and that's like highlighted on the news. Well, that breeds people who do not look at this as a society that we're all part of, where we think of the greater good.
Yeah, they always do. They'll show the story of the guy who walked in the ice for, walked through a blizzard for 2 hours, and then finally some good citizens buy him a car.
Yeah,
like
for his third job or whatever.
So he doesn't have, to get to his third.
Yeah.
So those are the stories. Without anytime they show these stories, they never address the actual issues.
Exactly.
Ever.
And so they're doing the same thing now again, right? They're just going to blame individuals for not doing, what they should be doing, wearing the masks or getting their vaccination, instead of the system that created these people.
Right. And when it comes to COVID, I mean, there's so many things that we're getting misled about. The efficacy of masks, like we're being told, if you're so worried about it, wear one. Kids in school, if you're a parent of a kid in school, she recommends you get your kid to still wear a mask, but your kid is still safer if other people wear masks too. Like this science this proven.
Was from the beginning of the pandemic, where they showed how it was safer, the best thing to do if both people are wearing masks. And now they're acting like, well, it's just an individual choice. This was the science. The science has not changed. It's not like those pictures are any less, based in fact. It's just they want to return to normal so that they can open everything up.
Right. And they're using mental health as an issue. And there hasn't been any evidence of serious mental health issues.
Right.
If you ask grocery workers or restaurant workers, we don't want mask mandates lifted. I mean most people don't.
Protections. Yeah, most people don't.
But they also want free masks provided by their employer, and they want the masks that actually work. I mean,
right.
N95s.
Yeah. So, and as you were saying, so they'll talk about people don't like the masks and that's really bad for kids, and kids need to go back to normal, which again, it's not like just because we say go back to normal, it's not like COVID listens and jets off. Right. But they can, again, the studies have come out that suicides are actually down. It doesn't mean that this isn't a horrifying time in everybody's life. And there's a lot of mental health issues we have to address because of it, but using suicide rates as a blanket statement of what's, how this is affecting kids because of the lockdowns has just been completely disproven. Not that we even really had lockdowns, but.
Right. But it's still, this is a narrative being repeated, today. If you turn on CNN today, you would hear something about mental health, kids destruction in school. And they never will look at the data. And this is the data right here in front of you. So.
And they also won't talk about the mental health issues that are affecting kids who are in severely underfunded schools that are still severely underfunded, that are crumbling, that don't have enough teachers, that don't have, like, why don't we have nurses in every school? Or, your college counselor should also be the mental health professional. I mean, there's a lot of issues that we should be addressing, but the people who are talking about just open up and return to normal don't want to change any of the underlying issues that existed before COVID that were ravaging our kids, right?
Right. And imagine if they'd framed this whole thing differently. I mean, I support vaccinations. Obviously, I think everyone should get vaccinated unless you have some real reason you can't. I think it's the responsible thing to do. But take that off the table and just say, what if instead of just pushing this vaccination narrative, like that's the only solution, what if you ended that ad with asterisk, at least wear a fucking mask. Don't be a pussy and wear a mask. Wear a mask. Like a mask is probably a greater protection of
it
the
is
spread
actually a greater
than vaccination.
An N95 mask is a greater protection than the vaccine right now. It absolutely is. I mean, we've lost more people since we've had the vaccine than before, right? So there are ways that we could be dealing with this and we're not. And I still haven't gotten any free masks. And I finally got for our household of 4, well, my older son's in college, but as far as they're concerned, we have 4 in our house. We got our 4 tests finally yesterday. And it's actually just 4 tests. I thought it was going to be at least 4 packs of 2. It's just 4 tests. So that's not, I mean, if you think you have COVID and then you do have COVID and you have to test out of it, that's for one person.
Not enough, but it's not even enough to responsibly meet the regimen you're supposed to get back to work, which is why they keep changing all these regimens and the protocol they're saying to return to work has nothing to do with science anymore.
No, not at all. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's all about capital and getting back to work and opening it up. And, the other thing they keep talking about is, or they keep not talking about, is long COVID. And what a disaster that is going to be. I mean, it's already a disaster for so many people, but even with mild COVID cases, the risk of heart disease and vascular issues and issues with your organs. And I mean, that is going to go on. We don't even know how long in a country with no universal health care.
And as much as we don't know how long it's going to go on for, the doctors already know a wave of cardiovascular issues are ahead of them because of the data that we have now. So they already know this is going to cause a big, I don't know, destructive force or something. It's going to be a sea change for doctors because we already have this wave of heart conditions coming.
Yep.
Anyway.
Yeah. I think we talked about this last week, but I do think it really bears repeating that we used to think 100,000 deaths was an incalculable loss. And now there's a concerted effort now as we near 1 million deaths, which is that like small blurb that you can't even see from last week. Like
900,000 dead.
Yeah. I mean,
but many move on.
Yeah. Above the fold, it's like the jobs report, and below it is 1 million people are dying. But now it's like the blue states are also not conspiring, but they're all sort of like in conjunction lifting mask mandates. Right. So they're all pressuring each other, and it's going to be, and as soon as the blue states start doing that, probably the red states go even further with just pretending everything's over.
Right. So their argument falls apart when they say they're doing this for, because they're trying to manage the whole country. They don't want to lose Republican support. That's a shitty reason to do the right thing anyway. But if that's your reason, at least that doesn't explain California, the safest of Democratic states.
Yeah. And by the way, I mean, Democrats overwhelmingly support COVID protections, and the country as a whole. I mean, yes, it's pretty split Republican Democrat, but exactly. I mean, you're not supposed to be the public health measures shouldn't be guided by what people can stomach. It should be guided by science. So yeah, that's kind of devastating. And I think it's terrifying that we're just going to pretend that everything's done, and then we're just going to flood the hospitals again, which I don't even think they keep talking about how the numbers are going down, but it's only compared to last week. You know what I mean? Like where it was horrible. And I don't think there's been a day for the last few months that we've been under 2,000 deaths.
But all we have to do is literally look at Denmark, who did all the right things. They had complete trust in the government. So they trusted their healthcare advice from the government. They did everything right. They lowered their numbers. They were in a great place. And then they removed the mask mandates. and immediately their COVID rates are blowing up.
And we haven't done anything in any of our public buildings, right, with the air quality or filters or anything. We've taken no measures to prepare for the next wave.
Yeah, for any school to be open without one of those COVID boxes that you know, the homemade things you can make for $100, you can make them for 50 bucks. 50 bucks, you can make a fan that cleans the air. It makes a big difference because it's an airborne disease. Hello. And we've done nothing.
We've done nothing, and they're not preparing for the next wave, and we're just going to let it rip. And I do feel like we're living in a horror movie. It's kind of crazy.
We really are. And none of this works if people are really more informed on how COVID works. Like the idea that, oh, COVID just goes from this variant to, and it evolves into the next one, and then evolves into the next one. Like, so the next variant we get of COVID isn't going to be based on Omicron necessarily. It could be a variant from all the different versions out there that are existing all over the world, because we're not vaccinating the world. We're just stupidly, selfishly vaccinating our own country.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, even if your vaccine only is your approach, then you waive the patents and get it to the global south. But we're not doing that. So this will continue. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the other thing, you know, if you're going to blame people for not getting vaccinated, you've got to make it easier and let them, you know, have paid sick leave. And also, I mean, honestly, I really feel like if he had used Section 1880A, where he could have expanded for the same
Protection
reason.
Act.
Yeah, where for the same reason that we have all COVID treatments for free that Trump did. He used that same act. You could just expand Medicaid and say, we're in the middle of a global pandemic and this is an emergency, and we're making all healthcare is just free while this lasts.
Yeah.
Imagine what that would do for people.
The president has tremendous power to look after our citizens in an emergency, which this is. Like, there's no world where he can't do a lot of this stuff. Now, even if you think that a lot of that stuff will get overturned, imagine putting a protection in place that most of the country likes and seeing it overturned. I mean, that's going to be a win for the Democratic Party, regardless. They're going to be able to run on. Oh, well,
we tried to provide for everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. We tried to give everyone health care during this pandemic, and the Republicans took it away.
Yep.
But if they do that, then they have to like sort of fight for Medicare, is what it comes down to. Medicare for all.
And their donors won't let them, of course. Right.
That's the whole game.
But if you want to help, like if the project is get as many people vaccinated as possible, there are steps that Biden could have taken, even if vaccine only was his whole, you know, if that's all he's willing to do. But spectacular failure on every level.
All right. Should we move on?
Yeah, let's move on. Yeah.
Vaccine only was always going to fail. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a mess.
Yeah.
All right, let's spin the wheel. Shot.
All right, let's spin it.
Yeah, baby.
Everyone's favorite.
We couldn't have had a little break before we got into TruckerCon. God damn it.
I'm gonna let you start this one, Pat.
TruckerCon? What do we got? What do we even have?
What do we have? I can't even remember. You know, one thing I do think is really important. I don't know what we have for TruckerCon this week. We were talking about it, and I don't know what we even have. One thing that I do think, though, yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I just wanted to start with one. I don't think, did we ever show the Pat King video? I think most people have seen it.
Yeah, where he's talking about the purity of his blood.
Yeah. Did we? I don't think we showed that.
Really? Okay.
Did we? Right.
I mean,
I'm going to show it real quick.
But you want to show it again, just to remind people of one of the organizers.
So this is one of the organizers, and we're not going to talk about the people who are behind this forever, but like, this is just a reminder of, this is one of the main guys who got this thing going. And so when people say, well, a movement will be co-opted, this whole movement was started by Republicans on the right. It's a Tea Party part due.
Yeah.
And the problem is, if you really think this is going to expand out into some greater globalist movement of people who just are they're fighting for workers' rights, you're going to have to get the support of all these people that are pro-mandate, pro-mask. They support, like you've seen the polls. So even if you disagree with them, you're going to need them on your side. And if you don't get them on your side, this movement is going to be led by Pat Kings.
And also, I mean, there's nothing in this movement, none of their demands has anything to do with worker rights. It's just anti-vax and anti-mandates. That's it. Or not I won't say anti-vax, even though I think they are, but just anti-vax mandates and anti-mask mandates. They want to lift all restrictions, which is why, and I do think this is a really important point for everybody to remember, any movement, look at how the cops treat the movements. And that will kind of give you an idea of the base, right? So like the water protectors were not encouraged by the police officers. You know, Occupy Wall Street, not encouraged by the, police officers. Black Lives Matter, we saw people being hauled off in vans and shot with rubber bullets all 2 summers ago. You know, did not have the support of the police. So it's just fascinating to me that this enjoys so much support from their police force.
Right. And they have camps set out. So the idea is, I don't know how many people have followed this really closely, but they have in Ottawa stations around the city to, you know, it's basically like little teeny militias around the city.
Yeah.
And as a leftist, do you think if we set up if our little station was set up along their little militia stations for leftist ideals, do you think the cops are going to let us exist in this movement? Do you think we're going to have a fair shake? No, we're going to get arrested.
I mean, remember in Florida, they were trying to put you can't give people standing in line to vote in 90-degree weather, water. And during Black Lives Matter protests, when people had food all, lined up for protesters, peaceful protesters, the cops would come and just like take it, remove it, and throw it away.
Yeah, exactly. So here are the organizers. I mean, we showed this last week, but a lot of bad people, QAnon, libertarians, the liberal parties infested with Islamists,
Yeah. Anybody talking about Anglo-Saxon replacement is
and these are not CIA people co-opting it. These are not just a rare fringe element. This is Pat King right here.
Now what it is the part of the depopulation, and a lot of people don't understand what that means. And what there is there's an end game. It's called depopulation of the Caucasian race, or the Anglo-Saxon. And that's what the goal is to depopulate the Anglo-Saxon race, because they are the ones with the strongest bloodlines. And we'll leave it at that, because then we get into a whole different topic. But it's a depopulation of race. Okay, that's what they want to do. I've spoken before about how we have Ahmed Ahmadinejad, or Mahmed, I can't say their names very well because I don't have the dialect that they do, but we have Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who states that no matter what, we are going to infiltrate governments, education systems. We're going to infiltrate every way possible into the Western world. What we're going to do is not only infiltrate by flooding with refugees, we're going to infiltrate the education systems to manipulate it to endorse this kind of behavior. This kind of behavior then endorses less procreation. All right, so the less procreation, the less white people, or, Anglo-Saxon. Let's say Anglo-Saxon, because when I say white, all the Antifa guys call up the race card. So we're going to call ourselves Anglo-Saxon. Okay?
So he's one of the organizers. Now, listen, I think there are a lot of some workers who are part of this and who are anti-mandates, even though they're pro-vaccine. But the point is their only objective is to be done with all safety precautions against COVID And then the latest thing is they also want to get what's his name out of stopping being the prime minister, Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
They want to like get rid of him, which this
Okay,
is not a workers' movement.
Yeah, where is the workers' movement here? Like,
yeah.
So I don't know if anyone listened. Did any of you catch the Twitter space that was on 2 days ago? So it was a Twitter space. There had to be like 10,000 people on the damn thing. And it was just one, the whole thing was ran over by leftists. Whatever. It rang like a comedy. Like people were just,
they were like Baba
the whole
booing.
thing, Baba booing it with racism and just ridiculous stuff. So, okay, but here's the real point. So this movement, let's just say it's not a left-right issue. Mandates are not a left-right issue. That's fair. I understand that. But how does the left gain power in this movement that is right off the bat going to include a much bigger variety of people on the right? The police are only going to crack down on elements of the left. Like if we try to make our presence known within this community and change the narrative, we're not going to do it.
Yeah.
We're going to get arrested on the left. The right is going to exist. So this, and then you look at the funding, you look at the Tea Party. What the fuck was the Tea Party? The Tea Party was all of this. And it's the same kind of people backing this from the start.
That's right. Yeah. They're being supported by right wingers and Tea Party kind of astroturfing people because in the end, once they get what they want, which they're about to, and they do away with all precautions, it only helps capital. So even though they, shut everything down, I mean, I also think it's paving the way to something even scarier because I think the protests were so disruptive to so many communities that they were part of, and the fireworks and the horns blasting. And I think some people tried to set fire to a building. People in the neighborhood have had to close down their shops. They're ridiculed and sort of taunted for wearing masks. I mean, it has become, it's become sort of a terrorizing element in certain neighborhoods. So I'm not sure why it hasn't been shut down earlier, or at least contained to a different degree earlier. Like, sure, people should be able to protest, but you shouldn't be able to disrupt everybody's life in their own homes, apartment buildings, or have to make them close their stores just to protest for weeks on end.
Right. And I can be sympathetic with the government. Like, so it is a fine line. So they shut down the GoFundMe. I mean, I don't know what the due process is on a lot of the actions they've taken to eliminate the funding to this event. So, that's something that's valid to me. Like, if at some point we're going to want on the left to have our own version of this, we are going to want to shut down Capitol. We are going to want to do these things. So we do need to watch out for government overstep in even policing these events, because this event, though I don't agree with it, I don't agree with, getting out there and supporting some Republican funded thing. I still want I
wish the left were so militant for the things we want.
But I still, there still is not I support free speech. I support the ability to protest. So for me, when I'm not a free speech absolutist, but I'm not, there isn't a case to say this is a Nazi event. There's a case to say this is Republican funded. Right. There is not a case to say this is a hate crime.
Yeah,
or
no,
something that merits shutting the funding down. So provide that, or provide your process for determining that we should shut these funds down and shut down their banks. I want that, because I don't want the police and the governments to have the ability to shut our protests down over these issues.
And once again, the government's asking like the tech bros to decide who gets what, right? So GoFundMe shuts it down, returns all the money, which I think only happened under some pressure, but anyway, returned the $10 million of donations, and then they had to find other sites to fundraise through. I agree with you, but I do think, there's a process for how you are allowed to protest, right? And so I think that they have crossed some lines, and that I don't understand why that's not been dealt with more quickly.
Well, it's the okay. So if they haven't crossed the line with how they act, then BLM should have been able to do a lot more. We should have been able to, but rubber bullets and people getting shot in the face, and we saw what happened with that when the left actually protests.
Right.
So we're clearly not seeing that.
Yeah.
Allegedly, these protests are moving into our country next. That's the whole next wave of this. So we'll see how they react to that. But we already know how they're going to react to that. They're not going to care about that. It's the police force is going to be fully supporting them, because the police they've never cared about masks, and and the issue isn't even masks. That's the whole point. This is
my freedoms.
Yeah.
What's another social wedge issue for the right?
None of this is an economic struggle issue. Is the point. This is this is all ideological and mostly trumped up by the right to create this wedge issue to get leftists to agree with them on, because there are leftists that agree on mandates, on the position of
anti-mandates.
Anti-mandate. There are. And I'm not saying you're wrong for feeling that way, but don't join something that ultimately ends up the Tea Party, please, dear God. Like, keep your position on mandates, but you still don't support these guys. Still, please.
Yeah, it's not a good.
We move on.
Yeah, let's get out of that trucker convoy.
Let's get the hell out of there.
Yeah, baby.
Wow.
2016 is never going to end. Well, what's funny is we had started this and we didn't get to it last week because
I'm doing shots because this topic is equivalent to shots.
You deserve a shot if we have to go back to this. So last week, when it was revealed that Trump had taken a lot of his private emails and correspondences and taken some of them to Mar-a-Lago. Also, I think Maggie Haberman is revealing in a book that he would shred them and shred papers and try to flush them down the toilets at the White House. And there were lots of clogged toilets. So, of course, because she can never not try to grift off of something, right away, Hillary tried to get some merchandise going. Hillary Clinton touts butter emails merch amid reports that Trump tore up important files, right? So there she is, because it's hilarious that she was under FBI investigation for having her own private server and then deleting 30,000 of her own emails. And I mean, the fact that she was so corrupt just took the teeth out of being able to charge Trump with much corruption during that whole not primary, but during the general election, right? They kind of canceled each other out.
Anytime 20 I swear to God, I don't. Here's the thing. So when I got on Twitter, I was in the middle of all this. I was a frontline warrior. I feel like I have, I don't know what HPTSD or something is there.
Right.
There should be a Hillary PTSD, because I feel like that. Why do we have to talk about her forever? We have to talk about her forever because she puts her in this stuff. Herself in this. She just
keeps inserting herself into it. I don't understand. Then all of the people on, all of the still with her crowd, were still with her and but her emails, and I mean, that was a travesty, that should never have happened. And the thing that's so crazy. Okay. So now, of course, just in the last couple of days, there's been this Durham report, right? Which I'm trying to make sense of it. But so last week, Hillary was gloating over the fact that Trump also did something bad with his emails. She wasn't, it didn't take away her blame for dealing with her own emails, right? It wasn't all of a sudden she was somehow that she shouldn't be held accountable.
Yeah. When I hear but her emails, I'm like, but my felony, or I mean,
that's
how it reads to me. You're a candidate for the presidency of the United States. Like, breaking the
Under
law
FBI
matters.
investigation.
Like none of that was driven politically. Like,
It's
nope.
just like a joke.
But I don't even want to talk about any of that shit anymore. It's just painful.
It's awful.
Sorry.
It's awful.
Sorry.
But so the new thing that I do think we just need to know is that there's this new in the Durham report, who's a special investigator, revealed that so I'm going to read it because it's a little complicated.
Good,
okay,
I walked off camera.
Yeah, in a court filing last week, Durham and his team alleged that Clinton campaign lawyer Michael Sussman, who lied about being paid by the Clinton campaign during the campaign, had paid tech companies and researchers to mine internet data to establish an interference and narrative tying then candidate Trump to Russia. Durham's filing also states that a tech company employed by Sussman had come to access and maintain dedicated servers at the executive office of the president. Sussman is charged with lying to federal investigators. So that's not great. I mean, basically it means that somebody who had access to the servers, which I think might even be accessible by anybody who knows how to do that kind of stuff, started noticing that there were like pings from the White House to Russian phones. And then the person was working for the Clinton campaign, or was being paid by the Clinton campaign, or being paid by the lawyers who were working for the Clinton campaign. And then they gave that information to the CIA and FBI to try to show that Trump was somehow working for Putin.
But so the whole story it's very convoluted and hard to follow. Unfortunately, I did get to the bottom of understanding what the hell is going on.
All right, break it down.
Basically, this guy Sussman was an attorney for the Clintons at the same time as he was representing interests for tech stuff, where this tech group was they were tasked with monitoring DNS transactions. So it was they would follow which computers are talking to which computers anonymously. Allegedly, they never got the messages. They didn't, they weren't allowed.
You don't get to see the content. You just know.
They were never able to see the content. They were just seeing who's talking to who. And this was somehow a government funded program. But so they identified all this stuff, and they thought one of the things they thought was happening is that Trump was involved, and a lot of Trump people were receiving messages on these Russian cell phones. So that didn't prove to be true. That was one of the elements of this. And the other element was that Trump's campaign and Trump, they were communicating with Russian banks like crazy. And that, didn't prove to be untrue, but none of it resulted in anything. But the bottom line is that all of this information was shared with Sussman, who was a lawyer for the Clintons. So that is a valid thing. And this story was leaked in October before the election. So it became the basis for a lot of this. It added to this thing that ended up being Russiagate. And so this whole ignore that this became a part of the Russiagate stuff, and that this is relevant, that he was an attorney for the Clintons, is really being naive, in my opinion, on how Washington works. So it is a valid story.
Right. It is a valid story. And I mean, Hillary tried to drum up suspicion about it back then, right?
Right. But I just want to add before we get to it that it is not what you were hearing on Fox News. Right. It's not that, because Fox News is saying the Clintons paid for all this, and it was not that at all. Like, this is not a Clintons spying on them. It's a Clinton breach of power because they controlled so much of the government that they were able to get access to this stuff they shouldn't have gotten access to, and then they leaked it to the media for her campaign
to try to cast aspersions on, a grotesque person, Trump, but right. So then she, back in 2016, does use this information that she has fed to the CIA and the media to say, oh, apparently computer scientists have uncovered a covert server link linking the Trump organization to a Russian-based bank. all of it's so disgusting and corrupt. And I think, you know, the thing I keep thinking about when during the primaries in 2016, Bernie said, you know, enough with the damn emails, because he wanted to talk about the policies. He wanted to fight for the people of this country. And all of this other stuff is really, you know, the fact that she quickly ran out with merchandise of but her emails last week when Donald Trump was, you know, it was revealed that he had absconded with his emails. It just shows how unserious these people are about being servants to the public, that she says it was her turn to reign over. You know, she has absolutely no concern for what's happening right now. I mean, while she's making up her mug that says but her emails, we hit almost 1 million dead people in this country. People are unemployed. People are homeless. People are working several jobs to barely scrape by. They can't go to doctors. And this fucking hag of a woman whom I abhor truly is rushing out with a mug to sell. I mean, you cannot get more disgusting. She'll try, I'm sure, but yeah. I'm in a lot of pain, so I'm taking it out of Hillary's mug.
I am also in a lot of pain from having had to spin that wheel. Do we have more on that? Or I mean, I just,
yeah.
So, okay. So the other part of this story that's important to me is that the right and Fox News are spinning this as Democrats, the media covering up this story, essentially, like, you know, a cover up. And they're fucking right. I mean, it's not the whole story. That it doesn't mean what they're trying to say the story means, but this is a real thing that should get some attention. And it's not, it should at least be covered. Like the CNN and MSNBC are pretending this doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
Like it should be at least getting some back and forth on it without just I NPR today, I heard NPR's take on it today. NPR's take on it was that you know, basically it's not what you think. None of this could be true because this all happened under Obama's presidency, so none of this matters. So it's not, and so it couldn't be Hillary spying on Trump because it was all under Obama's presidency. Well, first off, that's false, because separating Hillary Clinton from the Democratic Party from Obama to Trump is a leap too far. But then also it's kind of irrelevant because like that is the false part of the story. But that's it, because of that false part that Fox is spewing, they're discounting all of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I did see, then they like ran with it over on Fox. Like they're saying, oh, they're spying at his private home. They were like going through the content of it. I mean, they really embellished, and they're liars. But I mean, I think that's the thing is like everybody on the left and liberals are, I don't know why I said left and liberals. Liberals know that Fox is propaganda and lies, but they don't know that about their own corporate media. They have no idea. And I think that's the thing is so frustrating, is that complete lack of awareness. But it all it does is just further serve to divide people. And go ahead.
Well, but libs will always fall back on, they are so scared of Trump and the bullshit on the right, which they should be, that whatever, even if they believed you, even if tomorrow they woke up and they're like, you know what? I just realized, and because I've had this exact conversation, I've had people that came to me with I just had a come to Jesus moment. MSNBC is full of shit. Holy crap, they're lying to me.
Yeah.
And then like a week later, they're going to say, holy shit, you see what Trump did? We have to vote for any fucking Democrat.
Yeah. Any
Democrat, because they're so scared of like the other side. It's irrelevant.
The plan's working. All right, let's spin that wheel. Oh God. Ow.
I literally just laughed at your pain. So there we go.
I'm in so much pain.
Oh, I feel for you.
Thank
you.
It's
rough.
Okay.
I've been there.
Yeah, baby.
Help.
Thank you. Help is on the way. Normally I raise my arms and cheer, but now I'm just pouring my shot. I can't raise my right arm.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, that's probably why I self-medicated earlier.
Thank you. It was in solidarity. Cheers.
This might be my new favorite bourbon.
Really?
I was very nervous about it, but it's really, really freaking good.
What's it called?
Single Tree Bourbon.
All
It's
right.
from like I think it was Minnesota or something.
Okay.
You figure those cold states know how to make some whiskey.
That's where my son is at college, so I'll have to tell him to check it out. Yeah, Minnesota. It's -17. All right. Spin that wheel.
You just fueled conspiracy people to say that like we're paid by big Minnesota bourbon or something.
Oh yeah, I think that's a thing.
Yeah, baby.
Now we're talking. See,
my shoulder's feeling so much better.
this is waste no time. Here we go.
All right, I'm pouring another shot. Okay. Oh God.
Cheers to Lila's shoulder and back and all of the.
See you on the other side. Blah.
That's pretty good.
I can't whip my head back the way I normally do because of my neck. So I have to slowly sip my shot.
Something whip it, nay. I don't know. Is there some sort of
Watch,
dance
yeah.
thing? I don't even know.
Watch me, nay. I would normally bust into
there it is.
song, but I thought you were going to go back to the prom jokes about whipping my head back. Okay, spin it. Oh, Biden bomb. Let's do the Biden bomb.
Oh, we didn't land on Biden bomb though.
Oh.
No, we can't do it until we
Yeah,
land.
baby.
There'll be 3 more shots.
Oh, no.
I'm looking up. I'm trying to fix your shoulder problems.
You're a friend through
Ooh,
and through.
and I accidentally poured a big shot, but let's do
Did
this.
you accidentally? Normally I would like do my quotes, but it hurts when I raise my right arm. Okay. Wait a second. I'm moving so slowly right now. All right. Cheers, everybody.
Nothing like chasing bourbon with the triple IPA.
Oh my God. Yeah, I still have to drink my wine after the show.
So Jill she asked, is the bourbon smoky or oaky?
Oh.
I was a little dyslexic on my part, but a little oak, but like it's really buttery, like a Chardonnay or something, which is bizarre. So I'm kind of liking it. All right.
Oh, this
I'm
is
not
a good
paid
idea.
by Big Whiskey. Lila
So we got Lila Estrada do her shots. That is a brilliant idea. I'm gonna do that next, so I don't have to.
It is, but like, have you done a shot through a straw before? I feel like that would be like when it hits the wheel on like the 4th time and you really don't want to do a shot. For me, like I can't imagine having to sip it and taste every second. All right.
Oh,
Anyway, let's.
Yeah. I'm
Let's
gonna have
Yeah,
to like
baby.
Okay.
Biden bomb. There we go.
Biden a bomb.
Wait a minute. Can I play this Aki bomb video?
Yeah.
I can.
Really? No.
I don't know. No,
I
I
don't know.
won't do that.
It's
I would. Wait a minute.
She came in like a
I can't do it.
We need
That was
one
it.
for yeah.
Do you want it?
She came in like a stocky bomb. Yeah, she's nothing like that robot blonde or a hugger to your dancing charm. She handles questions refreshing clean. She's our secretary.
This may be hard to believe. We don't spend a lot of time talking about or thinking about President Trump here. Former President Trump, to be very.
Oh, you're ruining that amazing song that I love so much.
Sorry.
Refreshingly. Okay, let's talk about what's going on with our good friend, not the socialist, Biden.
Biden bomb.
Biden bomb. Joe
He's
Biden's
in a rough
approval.
place. Yeah, his approval rating is off the chart. Disapproval, 58% disapprove. I mean, 58%. So
Yeah,
do we have that stat on
like
on
the
where
breakdown.
Yeah, well, let's do that first.
Well, this is the breakdown of overall. Of course, GOP, whatever. They're never going to like him, but it's not great for Dems either. And overall, of course, it's horrible. And I mean, if you start looking at white people, Black people, Hispanic people, like those margins are getting narrower and narrower, and that's not good. But even more worrisome, not that it really matters anymore, is to see where other presidents were at this point in
this
midterm year.
This is what I was referring to. So Obama was at 47% this time in his election, and Democrats lost 63 seats. 63 seats.
So wait,
and Biden's at 7% below when Obama lost 63 seats.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bad.
I mean, I don't see how that works out. But as to why, I mean, we could talk about the why forever, but like no free college. Jill Biden's already saying free college, free community college is off the table.
Right.
Let alone all of Biden's promise about forgiving student loan debt.
How about the climate, which is a big issue for people, right? The $500 billion climate package that could be passed. We're not even talking about it. Nobody's even talking about it.
And there's not even talking about it. And then there's Chris Hayes fucking talking about it. Chris Hayes is even like, what the fuck? I mean, he won't do that on MSNBC. His Twitter is a different world than his paid version on the press, which is unfortunate because if that message was shared on TV to the MSNBC viewers, it would matter. But this is how Chris sleeps at night, is he tweets some stuff on Twitter that is true, but doesn't share it with his audience on MSNBC. So fuck Chris Hayes, but
But we all know, as we always say, that all of these policies, these are massively popular across the board. If you want to win, I don't know, try doing any one of these things, or even one of the things you ran on, like $15 minimum wage, or as you said, like free public college, canceling even his stupid $10,000 of student debt, anything.
Yeah. So here's a clip of him appealing to his, let's show.
The fact is that we're in a situation now where, you should have peace of mind. I know food prices are up and we're working to bring them down. As I said, I grew up in a family where the price at the pump went up, you felt it, and I understand. But these things are necessities. We're working to bring down prices where they're not totally what the families, in fact, have to pay now.
That's inspiring. Bring it.
But America has decided, like, they know Build Back Better is never going to pass. They know
and it was
it's
popular.
Never going to pass.
Every policy that was in there when it was mentioned was popular.
It's never going to pass. So to hear him come out and push that we can't do this stuff unless you guys all get behind Build Back Better, it's not going to pass. Your own party is stopping it. So that's why Biden administering this speech is depressed too, because he knows this is all bullshit. He's not like
he's not fighting for any part of it.
He's not fighting for it, but like it's just the dance. He's a dancing monkey brought out to talk about why he's going to pass this, and you guys should pass this, but they're not going to pass.
At least we said that we cared about it. Yeah, and I just want to keep going. Oh yeah, go ahead.
No, please.
Well, I want to go back to, because when I talk to my friends who only watch like MSNBC or, read the New York Times, and they keep saying, but, people are scared of socialism. Why didn't those people come out to vote for him, for Bernie or for those policies? And a lot of them did. And there was enough sort of like ambiguous language with Biden that people thought maybe he really was for healthcare. I mean, if you're not like totally invested and glued to Twitter and the news all the time, you could be forgiven for the muddied message that was delivered by Democrats that was intentionally muddied. So people thought, well, Democrats do want healthcare for everybody, right? Because they, those access to healthcare or whatever. But, people are scared of socialism or scared of these policies. And I just want to remind everybody that people who supported Medicare for all, won their elections in swing districts and in heavily plus Republican districts in 2020, and people who did not lost. And that's not entirely across the board. I'm sure somebody can find some exception in there, but for the most part, those policies, which now they're going to say, oh, we can't go too far left, we have to beat back progressives if we want to win in the midterms, that's going to be the whole messaging. It's a lie. Yeah, there's God.
Hakeem Jeffries is now the head of the DNC. And how did he get that position? Well, let me tell you, he ran cover for Clinton in 2016. And the whole deal was that they labeled Bernie a right-wing gun nut. So Hakeem Jeffries made the rounds on TV saying Bernie Sanders is wholly beholden to the NRA. That was his quote that got spread around like crazy. And Bernie was wrong, in my opinion, on that position, but like he was not wholly beholden.
Yeah.
He had like a D- from the NRA in their ratings. So it was bullshit.
He had
and
a
for him
couple
to
of
say
bad
that
votes that were bad, but like, yeah, it was completely.
We're talking about bad votes 20 years ago.
Right.
I mean, it was a clear smear by this guy. So that's why he has been brought up as the next
elevated
potential,
Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
no, it is all so dishonest. And also, I do just also want to remind people, because this is how Democrats,
socialism.
65% of them have a positive image of socialism, your own party. And only 52% of them have a positive image of capitalism.
It's entirely disinformation.
It is manufactured so that people say, oh, well, nobody was going to vote for Bernie. Bernie had more support from, I think he had more favorables than any other candidate. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I wanted to show the clip of how Biden is doing with young voters.
Yeah, show us.
What are young people feeling?
Wait a minute. So just to set this up, this is one of the Parkland shooter kids who survived that, and he's an advocate for gun stuff, obviously. So frame it with that, and he's still not a huge fan of Biden.
What are young people feeling when they put a lot of their energy into getting Democrats to the White House, a majority in both chambers of Congress, even if narrow in the Senate, but you don't get crucial issues like gun control out of it? How do you keep motivating people to keep voting?
Well, it's crazy because it's not only us not getting the major sweeping reform that not only young people but people across the board want. We're not getting the basic stuff. We're not getting Biden's campaign promises that can't be stopped in the Senate. We're not getting the National Director of Gun Violence Prevention that he said he would appoint on the campaign, which you can't blame Sinema and Manchin on that one. And I love blaming Sinema and
Good point.
stuff. They are I love talking about how they ruin everything. But Biden can do that with a stroke of a pen. So look, beyond gun control measures, he made a lot of promises about student loan debt, and then came out and treated it like the people who need help with their student loans are a bunch of rich kids going to Princeton from wealthy families, right? But Biden is making no friends in my generation. And mind you, the concept of anyone in my generation supporting a conservative is completely absurd to me, but Biden's not doing anything to win young people over. And we're tired. We're quite jaded, quite cynical. And look, I'm going to keep on voting blue, but I mean, it's getting less fun every time.
Well, that's depressing. That's Cameron Kasky from March for Our Lives. And yeah, there's a lot that Biden could be doing. And, we talk about this every week. He could be doing things by executive action. He could be using his bully pulpit, and he could at least show that he's fighting for something.
His failures are not in any way attributable to Manchin and Sinema.
Right.
They just aren't. I mean, he could do so many things via executive order. Even all these things he promised that are clear cut, like there's going to be no. So he was calling for the appointment of a person to a gun. I don't even know, but that you can't fight that in the courts. That's done. Like he could have just done that. Like
Yeah.
Snap the fingers, that's done. And he promised it and didn't fulfill that.
And yet we're going
Why?
to be browbeaten. Yeah. We'll be browbeaten to just vote blue no matter who, because otherwise you're going to get Trump or you're going to get these crazy Republicans. And if they really were scared about getting Republicans, they would lift their finger and do one thing for their
Do one
constituents.
fucking thing. Do one thing.
I would like to just remind people, I just pulled this clip and then I saw a bunch of people yesterday because I think a lot of people are feeling the same frustrations. But just in case anybody has not seen it, this is MSNBC mainstay Lawrence O'Donnell from about 18 years ago telling people how they should deal with their Democratic Party.
Yeah. Before he was paid $1 billion to not have this opinion.
And why can't I find it? Look at that.
I got it right here.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
The left has nowhere to go, folks. Let's show them something different.
Yeah. So if anything, clip this video of O'Donnell and play it back to him 1 million times every time he fucking says anything about voting for Democrats. I mean,
yeah,
I still have the position.
These Democrats, yeah.
Yeah, I still have the position of it's better to still vote for the progressive Democrats that are actually progressive, but withhold your vote from anyone who's not. I mean, that's how I stand. Because, okay, if the Democrats aren't going to pass Medicare for all or bring it to a vote, that's just not going to happen anyway. So,
right.
It doesn't matter if you have 30 Democrats, but if you have 10, if you have 10, 15, 20 progressives out of that 30 standing up and raising hell and actually getting media attention, that matters more than, anything. But
absolutely,
we're not going to get this without being in the streets and disrupting the shit out of the existing system. So,
yeah, that's what we have to do. I will see if I can. I think I just shared it, but I'll share it again on Twitter because that's a good quote, and it is really important for everybody to remember because this whole episode for us is about how they are manufacturing consent to strip us of COVID protections, to vote blue no matter who, we didn't do the war one, but I'm sure we'll still be able to talk about it next week.
Oh God, the war one.
The war that didn't happen, but was a threat, even though Russia said they weren't going to invade and Ukraine said they weren't scared that Russia was going to invade, but apparently Biden knew better. And even though Zelensky was telling him to tamp down the rhetoric, but lo and behold, they didn't invade. And we are now going to give how many more billions of dollars to the defense budget next year?
I just want to show. So we're running out of time, I guess, but I just this is important. So with the war budget, this Ukraine stuff. So $17 billion
increase.
Wait, is that true? Increase for the
I know, I'm
budget.
Counting the zeros. You see my eyes crossing with all my.
I don't even know how to add that stuff up, but
the billion,
But how? Okay, so
for 1 year,
we left Afghanistan. We left Afghanistan, $1 trillion war. So we saved. We are now.
Trillion.
We are saving even. I don't know how many trillion right there.
I can't divide it.
But
by
we're
20,
saving.
but
We're saving $500 billion every year by not being in that war. So when you look at all this call for war.
Don't do the math on that.
You should be suspicious because here we are asking for more money than we had last year for the military budget. We just got out of the most expensive war ever, which could lead to an extra $500 billion of
funding
stuff that could go towards
programs in our own country. Have you looked
masks,
around the U.S.?
COVID
what
shots,
are we doing? Spreading anything?
$50 ventilators in classrooms for kids. It could go to that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't
But
mean that we know what's right in Ukraine, because here's the thing with foreign policy: all the governments are lying to us. It's propaganda left and right. But we know that Biden's already trying to back. We have the Nazi clip we could show, but
oh God,
so
yeah.
we just don't know. But what we do know is that the U.S. is looking for ways to justify all this spending on the military, because that goes to the military, it goes to private contractors that are owned,
Right.
that are a lot of the Democratic donors.
Yeah, the
It's
same people who were wrong about every war we've been part of for the last 50 years keep getting wealthier and wealthier and get more contracts and get to advise the military and get to be on all of the news shows and write op-eds, which, by the way, Mint Press did a breakdown, and everything leading up to this was all the major newspaper stance on Russia, the conflict, was almost all the hawkish voices trying to prompt Biden. The one time that corporate media ever turned on him was when he withdrew from Afghanistan. They all are working together to keep, lining the coffers.
Yeah. So my opinion on this is the U.S. is sort of neutral on, like, they're ambivalent to Russia invading, because ultimately, if Russia invades, it's justification for the war machine. It's trillions of dollars. It's all the donors getting appeased. It's less resistance that Biden has to put up to the people within the party pressuring him for this war. If Russia doesn't invade, then it's justification for the military,
right?
Because the military scared them off.
Right. We have such a strong military.
We have such a strong military, and if we undercut that, we're gonna lose the effective ability to scare Russia out of Ukraine.
Right.
And that's.
It will come down also to the pipeline, but it's all just about the money. Just always follow the money is the first place to go. But I have to go take some pain medicine. I'm dying.
Damn you.
I'm in so much pain.
I feel for you.
No, thanks everybody for tuning in this week. I was a little bit slow with my words. I don't know. I wasn't, but the synapses aren't all working. I think they're firing down here.
Lila, I feel personally insulted because I'm always slow with my words.
You must be in a lot of pain all the time, Pat.
I'm in so much pain.
Thank you all for tuning in. It's always a highlight of my week to hang out here with everybody, and you, Pat, my friend, and to do the shots. Remember, they are lying to us all the time. So keep punching up. Hold them accountable, punch up, and don't keep fighting a good fight. That's all I got to say.
That's pretty good. That's better. If I was going to end the show, I would do the sake bomb video again. So we should probably just get out of here.
I'm in enough pain already.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thanks.